You know that feeling when you check your phone for the 10th time today, hoping they finally replied? Or when you say sorry just to avoid an argument, even though you did nothing wrong? I want to tell you something important today, something that might sting at first, but will set you free. If you have to beg for it, it was never truly yours. Hey everyone, welcome. Grab some tea, get comfortable. So today, we're talking about something I avoided for years: letting go. Specifically, letting go of people who make you feel like you're not enough. I used to think love meant fighting for someone, proving myself, doing more, being more. And when it didn't work, I blamed myself. But then I learned something from Buddhist teachings that completely shifted my perspective. It's simple but powerful. Clinging creates suffering, and real love doesn't make you smaller. In this video, we'll explore why chasing someone actually pushes them further away, what happens inside you when you stop begging and start living, and practical steps to reclaim your peace without bitterness or regret. This isn't about being cold or giving up on love. It's about loving yourself enough to walk away from anything that requires you to shrink. Let's dive in. The truth about chasing love. Let me ask you something. When did we start believing that love is supposed to be hard? That if we just try harder, give more, or change ourselves enough, someone will finally see our worth? Here's the uncomfortable truth. We've been conditioned this way. From childhood, many of us learned that love is conditional. We had to earn it, be good enough, behave a certain way. And that pattern followed us into adulthood. Buddhism teaches us something radical. It says that attachment is the root of suffering. Now, attachment isn't the same as love. Love is free, open, and peaceful. Attachment is desperate. It grips. It fears. When you're attached to someone, you're not actually seeing them as they are. You're clinging to an idea, a hope, or a fear of being alone. And that clinging, it suffocates both of you. Think about it. When you beg for someone's love, what are you really saying? You're saying, "I'm not enough without you." You're handing them all the power and keeping none for yourself. And here's the painful part. People can feel that energy. They sense when you need them more than you value yourself. And instead of drawing them closer, it often pushes them away. Because nobody wants to be someone's entire source of happiness. It's too much pressure. I've seen this play out so many times. Someone keeps texting first, always apologizing, always accommodating. They ignore red flags because they're terrified of losing the person. They convince themselves it'll get better, but deep down they know. They know they're not being treated with respect. They're just too afraid to face it. Let me share something with you. There's an old Buddhist story about a monkey trapped in a jar. The monkey reaches in to grab a handful of nuts, but when it makes a fist, its hand won't fit back through the opening. All it has to do is let go of the nuts, and it's free. But it won't. It holds on tighter, even though that's what's trapping it. That's what we do with love sometimes. We hold on so tight that we trap ourselves in our own suffering. The truth is, when you chase someone, you abandon yourself. You stop listening to your intuition. You ignore your boundaries. You betray your own peace just to keep someone around who's already halfway out the door. And the saddest part, you teach people how to treat you. When you beg, you're teaching them that your love has no price, that they can take it for granted. Buddhism doesn't ask you to stop loving people. It asks you to stop losing yourself in them. Because real love, genuine connection, doesn't require you to shrink or suffer. It doesn't demand proof. It just is. And when you understand that, you stop chasing. Not because you're bitter, but because you finally realize your worth isn't up for debate. What happens when you let go? So what actually happens when you stop chasing? When you finally release your grip and walk away? Most people think letting go means losing something. But here's what Buddhism teaches us, and what I've experienced myself. Letting go isn't loss. It's liberation, and the transformation that follows is something you have to feel to believe. First, there's space. Suddenly, you're not spending hours analyzing their text messages or wondering why they're distant. You're not rehearsing conversations in your head or making excuses for their behavior. That mental energy you were pouring into someone else, it comes back to you. And with it comes clarity. You start seeing things you couldn't see before because you were too close, too desperate, too attached. You see the patterns, the one-sided effort, the moments you ignored your gut because you wanted it to work so badly. But here's where it gets interesting. When you let go, your energy shifts. And people feel that. Think about it like this. When you were chasing, you were operating from a place of lack. You were saying, please choose me, please see me, I need you. That energy is heavy, it's needy. But when you let go, you step into a different frequency. You're no longer asking for permission to be valued, you're simply existing in your own worth. And that shift is magnetic. Buddhism calls this detachment, but it's often misunderstood. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging to outcomes. You stop trying to control how people feel about you. You accept reality as it is, not as you wish it would be. And there's incredible freedom in that, because when you're not attached to someone staying, you're also not destroyed when they leave. Now let's talk about what science says, because this isn't just spiritual philosophy. Neuroscience shows us that our brains are wired to seek validation and avoid rejection. When someone we're attached to pulls away, our brain literally responds like we're in physical pain. The same areas light up. So when you're begging for love, you're actually stuck in a stress response. Your cortisol levels are elevated. You're anxious, hypervigilant, constantly scanning for signs of rejection. That's exhausting, and it damages your mental health over time. But when you let go, your nervous system begins to regulate. You're no longer in fight or flight mode. Your brain starts producing different chemicals. Serotonin and dopamine levels stabilize. You sleep better, you think clearer, you start reconnecting with parts of yourself you forgot existed. Maybe you pick up that hobby again. Maybe you call that friend you've been neglecting. Maybe you just sit in silence and realize you're okay. You're actually okay without them. Here's something beautiful that happens too. When you let go, you make room for what's actually meant for you. Think of your life like a garden. If you're holding on to dead plants, refusing to pull them out because you're attached to what they used to be, you're blocking space for new growth. But the moment you clear that space, new things can bloom. New people, new opportunities, new versions of yourself you didn't know were possible. I've watched people transform after letting go. They stop dimming their light to make others comfortable. They start speaking up, setting boundaries, choosing themselves. And you know what's wild? Sometimes the person they let go of comes back. Not always, but sometimes. And by then, the person who let go has changed so much that they see the situation completely differently. They're no longer interested in breadcrumbs. They know their value now. But even if that person never comes back, it doesn't matter anymore. Because letting go was never about them. It was about you reclaiming your peace, your power, your life. Buddhism teaches that suffering ends when attachment ends. And I've seen it happen. The moment you release what's hurting you, you stop suffering, not because the situation changed, but because you did. You stopped fighting reality. You stopped trying to force something that wasn't flowing. And in that surrender, you found freedom. That's what happens when you let go. You don't lose love, you find yourself. Signs you're begging and don't realize it. Here's the tricky part about begging for love. Most of us don't think we're doing it. We tell ourselves we're just being patient, understanding, or caring. But there's a fine line between loving someone and losing yourself in the process. So let's get honest for a moment. Let's talk about the subtle signs that you're begging, even when it doesn't feel that way. First sign, you're always the one reaching out. You initiate every conversation. You make every plan. You send the good morning texts, the how was your day messages, the little check-ins. And when you don't hear back, you make excuses for them. They're busy, they're stressed, they're going through something. But deep down, you know if someone wanted to talk to you, they would. Buddhism teaches us about reciprocity and balance. When energy only flows one way, something is off. You're not in a relationship. You're in a one-person show. Second sign, you're constantly apologizing for things that aren't your fault. You say sorry to keep the peace. Sorry for bringing up how you feel. Sorry for needing reassurance. Sorry for existing in a way that might inconvenience them. You've learned that your feelings are too much, so you shrink them. You make yourself smaller, quieter, easier to deal with. But here's what Buddhism says about self-respect. It's sacred. When you apologize for your truth, you dishonor yourself, and no love is worth that price. Third sign, you ignore red flags because you're terrified of being alone. They cancel plans last minute. They're inconsistent with their words and actions. They make you feel amazing one day and invisible the next. But you stay because you've convinced yourself that this is just how relationships are. That love is supposed to be hard work. But let me tell you something important. Love shouldn't feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself. That's not love. That's anxiety dressed up as devotion. Here's another one. You over-explain yourself. You send long messages justifying your feelings or your boundaries. You feel like you need permission to be upset or to want more. You rationalize their behavior to your friends, even though you can hear how it sounds when you say it out loud. Buddhism talks about right speech, which includes speaking truthfully to yourself. When you're over-explaining, you're not being honest. You're negotiating with reality, trying to make something wrong feel right. And perhaps the most painful sign, you've stopped listening to your intuition. That quiet voice inside that's been trying to tell you something for months. You silence it because what it's saying is too scary to face. It's telling you to walk away, to choose yourself, to stop waiting for someone to see your value. But you push it down because facing the truth means facing loss. And you're not ready for that. Buddhism teaches us that self-deception is one of the deepest forms of suffering. When you lie to yourself about how you're being treated, you create inner conflict. Part of you knows the truth, but another part refuses to see it. That split creates pain. Constant, exhausting pain. The reality is, begging doesn't look like pleading on your knees. It looks like checking your phone every 5 minutes. It looks like changing your plans to accommodate theirs while they never do the same. It looks like laughing off disrespect because confronting it might mean losing them. It looks like sacrificing your peace for their comfort. And the saddest part, the person you're begging from often doesn't even realize the power they hold over you. Because you've hidden your pain so well, they think everything is fine. They think you're choosing to stay. They don't see that you're trapped in your own hope, waiting for them to become who you need them to be. How to actually let go? Now we get to the part everyone asks about. How do you actually let go? Because knowing you should let go and being able to do it are two completely different things. You can understand every word I've said so far and still find yourself checking their social media at midnight. So let's talk about practical steps, real Buddhist wisdom that you can apply starting today. The first thing you need to understand is that letting go is not a one-time decision. It's a practice. Some days you'll feel strong and clear. Other days you'll want to reach out, to go back, to give it one more chance. And that's normal. Buddhism teaches us about impermanence. Everything changes, including your resolve. So be gentle with yourself. Letting go is like building a muscle. It gets stronger with repetition. Start with awareness. This is the foundation of all Buddhist practice. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. So pay attention to your thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking about them, don't judge it. Just notice it. There's that thought again. When you feel the urge to text them, pause. Feel that urge in your body. Where does it live? Your chest, your stomach. Buddhism teaches us that emotions are physical sensations. When you observe them without reacting, they lose their power over you. Next, create distance. And I mean real distance, not half measures. Delete their number, unfollow them on social media, remove the photos from your phone. I know this sounds harsh, but here's the truth. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. Every time you see their face, read their posts, or wonder what they're doing, you're reopening the wound. You're feeding the attachment. Buddhism calls this removing temptation from your path. It's not about being petty, it's about protecting your peace. Now let's talk about meditation, because this is where the real transformation happens. You don't need anything fancy, just 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly, focus on your breath. When thoughts of them come, and they will, acknowledge them and let them pass like clouds in the sky. Don't grab onto them. Don't build stories around them. Just breathe. What you're doing here is training your mind to let go. You're practicing non-attachment in real time. And over weeks and months, you'll notice something shift. The thoughts come less often. They hurt less when they do. Here's another powerful practice: metta meditation or loving kindness meditation. This might sound counterintuitive, but stay with me. You send compassion to yourself first. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. Then, when you're ready, you extend it to them. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. This isn't about reconciliation. It's about releasing resentment. Because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting them to get sick. When you wish them well, you're freeing yourself from the energetic tie that binds you. Build new routines. This is critical. Your brain associates certain times, places, and activities with that person. So create new patterns. Take a different route to work. Find a new coffee shop. Start your mornings differently. Fill the spaces where they used to be with things that nourish you. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's running. Maybe it's finally learning that language you've been talking about. The point is to show your brain that life continues, and it can be good, even without them. Reconnect with your community. One of the biggest mistakes people make when letting go is isolating. They think they need to do it alone, that nobody will understand. But Buddhism emphasizes Sangha, community. Reach out to friends. Have real conversations. Let people remind you who you are beyond this relationship. You'll be surprised how much strength you gain from connection. And here's something essential. Feel your feelings fully. Don't suppress them. Don't spiritually bypass them with affirmations and positive thinking. If you're sad, be sad. If you're angry, be angry. Buddhism doesn't ask you to avoid emotions. It asks you to not be controlled by them. There's a difference. Cry when you need to. Scream into a pillow. Write letters you'll never send. Let it move through you. Because what you resist persists. But what you feel, you can heal. Finally, remember this. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about yourself more. It means you choose your dignity over their validation. And that's not selfish. That's survival. That's self-love. That's freedom. So here's where we are. You've learned why chasing love only creates suffering. You've seen what opens up when you finally let go. You've recognized the signs that you've been begging without even realizing it. And now you have real practical tools to start releasing what's been holding you back. But I want to leave you with something important. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you didn't love hard enough or try hard enough. You did. You gave everything you had. And that's beautiful. That's courageous. But sometimes love isn't enough when respect isn't there. Sometimes caring deeply isn't enough when it's not mutual. And that's not your fault. Buddhism teaches us that everything in life is temporary. People come into our lives for reasons, for seasons, for lessons. Some are meant to stay. Others are meant to show us what we don't want. what we won't tolerate, who we're becoming. And both types are valuable, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. Because they teach us the most important lesson of all, that we are whole on our own, that our worth doesn't depend on someone else recognizing it. I know it's hard right now. I know some of you are watching this with tears in your eyes, thinking about that one person you can't seem to let go of. I see you. I've been you, and I'm telling you from the other side, it gets better. Not immediately, not overnight, but gradually, quietly, powerfully. One day you'll realize you haven't thought about them all morning, then all day, then all week. And eventually you'll think about them and feel nothing but gratitude. Gratitude that they're okay. Gratitude that you're okay. Gratitude that you chose yourself. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. You were never meant to beg for love. Real love doesn't require convincing. It doesn't require proof. It doesn't require you to abandon yourself. And anyone who makes you feel like you need to earn their affection doesn't understand your value. But you do, or you're starting to. And that's enough. Start today. One small step, one moment of choosing yourself, one decision to stop reaching out, one breath where you let them go and call your energy back home. You deserve peace. You deserve respect. You deserve love that doesn't hurt. If this resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we can't save ourselves, but we can save each other by sharing the truth. Drop a comment below and let me know, what's one thing you're letting go of today? Let's support each other in this journey. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing growth over comfort. And remember, letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be kind to yourself. You're doing better than you think.